Welcome to USA News Hub. America's pulse in sports trophy. Big matches. Big moments. One trusted voice. One night, everything falls apart. The match. The confidence. The composure. But the morning after. That's when the truth finally comes out. Coco Gauff didn't just lose at the Australian Open. She faced the world, her critics, and herself. And what she said next hit harder than the loss. A morning after Melbourne. The scoreboard told one story. 6-1, 6-2. 59 minutes. Quarterfinal exit. But the real story of Coco Gauff's Australian Open 2026 didn't end when she walked off Rod Laver Arena. Began the next morning, and a short but deeply personal message shared with millions. The 21-year-old American star reminded the world of something often forgotten in elite sports. She is not a machine. She is not a brand. She is a person. And she is hurting. The night everything went wrong. Coco Gauff entered the Australian Open quarterfinals with confidence, experience, and history on her side, a Grand Slam champion. World number 3. One of the most followed athletes in tennis. But from the first game against Alina Svitolina, nothing clicked. Her serve abandoned her. Her timing disappeared. Her body language revealed frustration. The Ukrainian veteran dominated every phase, absorbing pace, redirecting angles, and forcing errors. For Gauff, it was a nightmare that refused to end. The stat line that tells the pain. Numbers don't lie, and these were brutal. 5 double faults. 26 unforced errors. Just 3 winners. A broken repeatedly. A no momentum at any point in under an hour. One of the brightest stars in women's tennis was dismantled. Not by lack of effort, but by a perfect storm of pressure and timing. When the cameras caught too much. As the match ended, Gauff did what countless athletes have done before. She retreated off court. Away from fans. Away from expectations. Believing she was out of public view, Gauff released her frustration, smashing her racket in a quiet hallway at Rod Laver Arena. But she wasn't alone, a camera was there. Within hours, the clip went viral, reshared, slowed down, analyzed, judged. What should have been a private moment became global content. Social media. Sympathy versus scrutiny. The reaction split the internet. Some fans defended her. She cares. She's human. She competes. Others criticized her. Bad example. Unprofessional. She should control herself. But very few paused to ask the most important question. Why was this filmed at all? The next day, Coco speaks from the heart. Instead of retreating, Coco Gauff addressed the moment head-on. Not with anger. Not with excuses. But with honesty. Posting on X, the American wrote, "Living and learning. But still will keep trying to move forward. I'm a real person with real feelings. I care a lot and I'm trying my best. Thank you to those who understand that." Short. Simple. Devastatingly real. Why this message hit different? This wasn't a PR statement. There were no buzzwords. No scripted positivity. No blame shifted. It was a reminder, especially in today's viral sports culture, that pain doesn't disappear just because someone is famous. For a 21-year-old athlete who has been under the spotlight since her teens, the weight is enormous. And this message pulled back the curtain. Living and learning. A recurring theme. Those 3 words, living and learning, tell a deeper story. Despite her success, Coco Gauff is still building, still failing, still adjusting, still evolving. The Australian Open has now ended painfully for her 3 years in a row. 2024, lost semi-final to Aryna Sabalenka. A 2025, quarter-final loss to Paula Badosa. At 2026, quarter-final collapse versus Alina Svitolina. That pattern hurts, especially for a player many expected to dominate Melbourne by now. The pressure of being the future. Coco Gauff isn't just another top 10 player. She's labeled as the face of American tennis. A future world number one. A global ambassador for the sport. Every loss feels larger. Every reaction is magnified. When things go wrong, there's nowhere to hide. Mental health in modern tennis. Gauff's message arrives at a critical moment for tennis. Over the past decade, elite players have openly discussed their anxiety, a burnout, a depression, emotional overload. From Naomi Osaka to Iga Swiatek to Aryna Sabalenka, the conversation has shifted. Winning is celebrated. But coping matters too. And Coco Gauff just added her voice, quietly, powerfully, to that movement. The racket incident. Context matters. Was smashing a racket ideal? No, but context matters. This wasn't a show for the crowd. This wasn't intimidation. This was released, a private moment that should have stayed private. And many fans acknowledged that distinction. Response from the tennis world. Players, analysts, and former pros subtly echoed support. Not necessarily for the act, but for the emotion. Several voices pointed out that tennis is one of the few sports where athletes sit alone with their thoughts immediately after defeat. No teammates. No locker room chaos. Just silence. Sometimes, that silence explodes. Why Melbourne is still a challenge. The Australian Open remains Gauff's most difficult slam. The conditions are brutal. The courts are fast. The heat is unforgiving. And for a player still fine-tuning her serve and aggression balance, margins are thin. This loss doesn't erase her greatness, but it exposes areas still under construction. What comes next for Coco Gauff? The season is long. Indian Wells, Miami. Clay season, where she thrives. The reigning French Open champion has already proven she can bounce back from disappointment. And her message suggests she knows exactly what this moment requires: reflection, growth, patience, a generation that wants understanding. Coco Gauff represents a generation of athletes who don't pretend to be invincible. They want support. They want understanding. They want space to feel. And fans, slowly, are learning to listen. This wasn't just a bad match. It was a reminder that behind the rankings and trophies is a young woman still finding her way through the highest pressure environment in sports. Coco Gauff didn't ask for sympathy. She asked for empathy. And sometimes, that's far harder and far braver than winning a match. That's all for today from USA News Hub, United States. If you love real sports stories, deep analysis, and honest American sports news, Backhand Index pointing right, like the video. Backhand Index pointing right, subscribe to the channel. Backhand Index pointing right and turn on the bell icon, because here at USA News Hub, we don't just report sports. We live it. See you in the next one.